Should Shirley Strawberry stay with her husband after finding out all these things about him after the fact, after she married him? I don't think so. These are grounds for divorce. But I think Shirley is going to go down fighting. Is she going to have a husband in jail that she's going to have to visit because he's going to be spending so much time in jail? She's going to be old and gray by the time he comes out, if he comes out, because the charges are long. I could not believe it when I heard it, and to think that it was Steve Harvey who introduced the two. Isn't Steve Harvey supposed to be a matchmaker? Some type of person who can smell and sift out bad character in people? Well, Steve's bad character radar must have been gone that day. It must have been dead. It must have been buried. It must have been completely not working because he introduced Shirley to this man. And I'm telling you, this man's behavior and all the criminal activities would have some of these hardened criminals blushing because he wrote the book on criminal activity. I know Shirley may love her husband, but some things you just got to let go of, especially if he didn't tell her about all this criminal activity before they got married. That means he was deceiving her. So that's grounds for her to get a divorce. So let's start this story, this long tale about Shirley Strawberry's husband. So we know Shirley Strawberry, we are all acquainted with her. We know that she works for Steve. She's a radio personality. She does the morning show with him. And she's a happy-go-lucky woman who was looking for love for a long time. And then Steve finally hooked her up with Ernesto, the owner of Ernesto Cuts. And it said that he had a thriving business. He was cutting celebrity hairs, and his business was 24/7. He was open all the time. That's the long and short of it. But apparently, according to law enforcement, Ernesto activity, this activity of criminality goes back. But as far as we know, Shirley Strawberry had a very happy marriage, and I'm sure she didn't think anything was wrong with her marriage until all this started to unfold. Guys, if you're coming onto the page, smash the bells, the like bell, as well as subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so as yet. So it has been alleged that Ernesto and his partner in crime scammed dozens of people out of millions of dollars. So the allegations against Ernesto is very disturbing because it concerns alleged children, animals, and a girlfriend who was claiming to be his attorney at the time they were doing this scamming. Where is Ernesto now? I'm glad you asked. Ernesto is sitting in jail in Georgia. For months now, people have been saying that there's a guy who looks exactly like Ernesto, and he's the real criminal, not Shirley Strawberry's husband. But come to find out, Ernesto, Shirley Strawberry's husband, is the real criminal. So this is Shirley Strawberry's second marriage, and this guy, Ernesto Williams, was not her Prince Charming. He turned out to be the frog. Shirley has one child, a daughter, Sheridan, from the first marriage. So I don't think it's a secret that Steve Harvey was very instrumental in getting Shirley and Ernesto together. So last year in 2022, a man named Ernest Williams, who looks very similar to Shirley Strawberry's husband, Ernest, was apprehended. Well, the cops thought they had the right person. They did not know that Shirley Strawberry's husband was indeed the man they were looking for. This other man, Ernest Williams, was apprehended for inappropriate material involving children. But I think someone may have put out that narrative to kind of sidetrack and to let us look the other way. Instead of looking at Shirley's husband, we were looking at this other man. So the material that was found involving children was on a computer or a laptop. So in the past, Shirley's husband Ernest served time in prison for fraud and armed robbery. And I'm saying, didn't Steve do his homework? Did he not look into this man's past before he made a love connection between Shirley Strawberry and Ernesto? This is all according to Media Takeout. But that's only the beginning for us. It gets more interesting. So even when they went to court, the lawyer, Ernesto's lawyer, was trying to keep the wife's name, Shirley Strawberry's name, on the wraps for the public not to know that Strawberry's husband was involved in this big saga, this big scandal, because at the time everyone thought it was the other Ernesto. But he let it slip in the courtroom that Ernesto's wife is a public personality and her first name begins with the letter S and her last name is Strawberry. So everyone kind of figured it out at that point. So at Ernesto's bond hearing, the prosecutors stated to the court that they had intercepted multiple amounts of conversations involving Ernesto and other individuals. So in one of the conversations, it was stated that Ernesto and his mistress had planned to escape from Atlanta to Florida together. But I'm thinking, what kind of escape plan is that if you're in the same country? A great escape, honey, calls for you to be out of the country in some other zone, in some other time zone where the feds cannot find you or the cops cannot find you. But you don't leave a state like Georgia and go to Florida, which is not too far, just a hop, skip, and a jump away, one state over, and say that's a great hideout. No, that's not a great hideout. However, it was reported that Shirley told her husband Ernest that he can go to Abu Dhabi where Steve Harvey have a home and he can stay there for a while. Now that's a great hideout. That's a great getaway if you want to hide from the feds because it's a different country. However, now the fact that Shirley told her husband that he can go to Abu Dhabi and stay there for a while tells me that she knew some part of this corruption that he was involved with, this crime spree that he was involved with. How much she knew, I don't know, but it involves a multitude of things. And this is all alleged, but the courts is going to sort it out because this man is now in jail and he's got to face these charges. But before the court sort it out, it's alleged because nothing has been proven as yet. So the prosecutor said they had the tape recordings of Shirley and Ernesto talking about this Abu Dhabi getaway, where she told him that he can go there and hide out for a while or stay for a while. So that is documented. So Ernesto have been sitting in the jail for a while. He was arrested last year in 2022. And this story was slow to creep out because they were really trying to keep it on the wraps. Guys, remember in the beginning of this story, I said he had a partner? Well, that partner, her name is Erica King. Now, this year, she should be 47 because last year she was 46. And Ernesto should be 58 this year. But the two of them were said to be some type of lover or boyfriend, girlfriend because they're renting a house right next to Shirley Strawberry's house. And I don't know how she didn't know that they were renting that house right next to her. Because talk in the neighborhood, neighbors talk. And they would say, well, that's Shirley's husband going in and out with Erica. You hear it through the grapevine in the neighborhood. But apparently she was not aware of it. And if she was aware of it, I would say shame, shame, shame on you, Shirley. How can you stay with a man who is shacking up with a woman right next to your house? I mean, neighbors talk. And there's no way that she can tell me that she didn't know about it. You can't be that desperate for a husband that you're going to put up with all that disrespect. But that is really sloppy. It reminds me kind of like Kevin and Wendy Williams' husband, when he and Shirley rented that house right in the neighborhood. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be that messy. If you're going to cheat in a different neighborhood, okay, guys? In a different area code. But last year, when Ernesto and Erica got arrested, it was on a host of charges: fraud, forgery, theft, and this year, some more charges was attached to that. So the detectives started looking into the background of Ernesto and they found this rental fraud. The detectives also discovered this coaching company that they had established. They apparently had established a number of companies to do their fraudulent activities in. One of those companies being a coaching company where they would guide people into how they can make their business better, better and bigger. But it was another Ponzi scheme because the services that they promised, they never delivered on. So they took people's money and actually did not provide the services that they promised. So the rental property for Ernesto and his mistress was so high that the checks were not clearing. And so the investigator started looking into all these bounce checks that were showing up on the books. Guys, when they are looking at your background with a fine-tooth comb and they want to stick something on you, they look at everything. They go to the banks, honey, and they trace the money. So as investigators dug deeper and deeper, they found that Ernesto and Erica also had this credit repair scam business going on. I told you guys they had a multitude of companies just scamming. They couldn't stop scamming. So with the credit repair business, you guessed it, they wanted to improve people's credit. Well, so they say. I know credit repair is one of the latest scams out there. So guys, be careful with this credit repair business. But like I said before, you can't be that desperate to stay in a marriage when you know your husband is a criminal, because after he got arrested, Miss Shirley Strawberry wrote a letter to the judge pleading for leniency. And I'm saying to myself, Shirley, don't be desperate, honey. Desperation is written all over your face. You cannot want a husband that badly because and I know that a lot of women want husbands so badly they would cut off their right arm to get a husband. Just a title. It's just a title, but some people want the title. There's something in a woman's DNA that when she knows that she's somebody's wife, that she's so proud and she wears that ring with such pride and joy. A lot of women are like that. So the judge ordered Ernesto to stay away from Shirley's daughter, stay away from children, and stay away from animals. And I'm wondering, that can have so many implications. Stay away from animals. Did the judge see something on those tapes? Stay away from Shirley's daughter. Did the daughter tell the judge something that maybe something inappropriate might have happened or was about to go down? Stay away from children. Was there something concerning children that the judge saw on those tapes? Remember, guys, the computer was seized. So the prosecutors had all this evidence, showed to the judge, and the judge saw all this evidence on the computer. And so the judge made a determination that this man should stay away from children, animals, and Shirley's daughter. I'm telling you guys, be careful what you pray for, because Shirley was praying for her husband for a long time, a good man. And boy, she got a wolf in sheep's clothing. But what is really sad is that he didn't need to get involved in this type of crime that he was binging on, because he had a successful business. He had celebrities coming into his shop, and two of the celebrities that were mentioned on Media Takeout was Akon and Shaquille O'Neal. And I'm sure they recommended their celebrity friends to visit his shop. So it's not like if he was desperate for money. So I'm wondering, why did he get so greedy? Well, you know what they say, folks. Money is the root of all evil. And in this case, it truly was the root of all evil. So in some of those pictures that we see here, we see Steve walking Shirley down the aisle or posing with Shirley. And a lot of people are blaming Steve for hooking them up. But ultimately, you don't know people's character. You don't know what they're hiding. And I'm sure if Shirley knew anything about him, his past criminal activity, she would not have married him. But I'm wondering, to what extent did Steve know about his criminal activity? Because Steve Harvey, I would think, would do a background check to know what kind of guy he's hooking Shirley up with. So I'm wondering, to what extent did he know that this man had a criminal past and maybe he wasn't the right fit for Shirley? And then again, some of the responsibility lie with Shirley, because I would think before you make a lifelong commitment into this society, you want to know who you're marrying. Not only just sitting and talking to the person, getting into their minds and kind trying to figure out who they are, but you got to look into the background. That's the society we living in. The information is easily accessible. You pay a little $10 or whatever the fee is, and you can get the background information on the person that you are going to call your lifelong partner. If you have the social security number, the birthday, you can get the information that you need in order to make a decision if you should even settle down with that person. So I can't put the total blame on Steve Harvey. I think Shirley Strawberry also has to bear some of the brunt of that responsibility of properly vetting Ernesto. So, as you guys can imagine, he is really facing some serious charges. So, there's a lot that we don't know about Shirley's husband, Ernesto. But what we do know is that he's going to be facing time in jail for fraud, forgery, theft, and there's a slew of other charges that are attached to his record. And with them finding this pornography on his computer involving children, I'm sure that's going to weigh in very heavily on his sentence whenever he have his day in court. So Shirley and her husband Ernesto met in 2013, and their love story began to blossom. Well, it began as a love story and it ended up as a nightmare. In 2015, 2 years after they met, he proposed to Shirley on the Steve Harvey morning show. And later that year, they got married. This guy, Ernesto, just cannot stay out of trouble. So he was arrested back in May of 2022 while in a possession of a machine gun, a Glock handgun equipped with a switch and a silencer. It's almost as if he decided to make crime a career. So when they stopped him, he was in a stolen vehicle. And officers followed the vehicle to an apartment complex where he was taken into custody, and he was also found to be in the possession of marijuana. So not only did he have this Glock, this silencer on the Glock, but he also had marijuana on him, and he was found with a stolen car. I mean, how much more trouble is this guy going to get into? Boy, Shirley sure know how to pick 'em. So that happened in May of last year. And in December of last year, he was arrested on fraud and child pornography charges. So police allegedly found 4 indecent photos on his computer of an underage child. So his girlfriend, Erica King, bonded out and she's awaiting trial. In June of this year, June 6, 2023, Williams pleaded guilty to being a felon in possession of a weapon, and he was found guilty and he was sentenced to 23 months in prison. So he's in jail currently. So on Friday, it was reported that he was hit with 5 new charges, including the R word and 4 other charges. So guys, don't forget, as you come onto the page, smash the buttons, the like bell, that thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel if you have not done so as yet. It was also reported that Shirley requested that her husband be bonded out. She wrote a letter to the judge, and the judge ignored it. Her husband is still sitting in jail. So this is the recent Zoom hearing held. And we get to hear what the judge had to say, as well as the prosecuting attorney and Ernesto's attorney. The recording you hear comes from Biodiversity Law, and it was a Zoom hearing.
That will be coming out that, based on their content alone, there's a great likelihood that he's someone who commits further felonies. Furthermore, without mentioning the facts of the case in front of us, children were involved.
So now we hear the judge calling up Ernest Williams, because there were a lot of different cases in the courtroom.
Ernest Williams, raise your hand. All right, here we go. It's position is there's 4 cases, I think, for Mr. Williams. Position 2 is 22 CP 210-500, 355 days without indictment. There's a $15,000 bond as of 10/31/22 for theft by deception.
Theft by deception, the first charge.
Let's see, 22 CP 211078, Ernest Williams, 355 days without indictment. $75,000 good bond as of December 31st, 2022, with 3 counts of conspiracy to commit a felony.
3 counts to commit a felony, second charge.
Position 4 is 22 CP 21259, 355 days without indictment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counts of conspiracy to commit a felony, and there is a $20,000 split bond as of 10/17/2022.
5 counts with conspiracy to commit a felony. Third charge. And the man have more charges, more felonies from the previous year, 2022, 2023. He's got a slew of charges, folks. I don't know when he's going to get out of jail.
Position 5, 355 days without indictment, 23 CP 215407. I'm assuming you want me to waive, Mr. Lewis?
Sure.
All right. I can say it if you want me to, or you want me to wait?
I don't think Miss Williams cares, but, wait, Judge.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 other felonies on there that have to do with nudity, let's say. No bond as of January 13th, 2023. So in regards to Mr. Williams, still other open cases, 22 SC 18443, theft by taking, theft by deception. 22 SC 184-402, theft of services, deposit account fraud. Both of those are assigned to Judge Edwards.
So this Zoom hearing was held in Fulton County, Georgia.
Nothing further. All right, go ahead, Mr. Lewis.
All right, Judge. You mentioned all the days on Mr. Williams. I don't find it to be a good use of anybody's time to go back through all that.
So Attorney Lewis is Shirley's husband's lawyer. And he said it doesn't make any sense to go through all, like the previous charges. And I'm saying, why not? We want to know what this man is previously charged with.
I believe Mr. Williams, my client, is now 59 years old. I believe when this case first began, he was 58 years of age. Judge, he was born in Augusta, Georgia. He has lived in the Atlanta area since 1994. From 2015 to 2019, he lived in California. He got married in 2015, Judge. He is the father of 6 kids and 4 grandchildren, some of them in the state of Georgia. His oldest granddaughter is a student at Georgia State University. Judge, he has owned grooming parlors, some bar shops, both in Peachtree and Far Road, as well as in Sandy Springs. He sold some businesses, some land to the city of Atlanta in 2016 from those first sets of business. In 2021, he opened a new location, Nesta's Grooming, which bears down from the old location. That business has been dissolved partially because of what is going on today with him sitting in. So in other words, he's losing money from his businesses from being in here. And that has been testified also to by one of the law enforcement officers from Roswell. He had owned an unarmed security service, Nesto's Elite Security Company, where he had a number of 1099 persons working for him. Judge, my client has a number of felonies in his past. Those felonies go all the way back. He's got he's got one in 2008, which looks like it is a merger, meaning when they're doing the sentence on one, they're doing the sentence on the other. and there is a deal, and my client decides to take the deal. His wife resides in Buckhead, and you will see it. I think that is the Buckhead community. She doesn't say Buckhead on her affidavit, but she does reside in Fulton County and in Buckhead.
I'm sure at this point, Shirley Strawberry is probably saying, "Thanks a lot for giving out my location." You guys are going to notice throughout the hearing that the attorney is trying to protect Shirley's identity by saying SS, but the judge just blurted out her name, Miss Strawberry, Shirley Strawberry. And I said, well, so much for keeping this thing on the down low, on the hush-hush.
Judge, his history, there's nothing in the last 10 years. He's never been in one of these cases accused him of attempting to pass somebody off as a lawyer.
He's talking about the woman involved in this case, the co-conspirator. He was trying to pass her off, allegedly, as a lawyer to get this Ponzi scheme going with selling people all his different ideas, his Ponzi schemes.
His co-defendant in that case has a consent signature bond that has been signed off on. I believe Mr. Majeski can tell you more about that when he do it. He has never him matters that my client has on that. Bank fraud when he was since 1994. Or accused or convicted of anything that involves a person passing themselves off as a lawyer or impersonating anybody ever in life. This last case that came about involves, if my understanding is correct, and I don't know because I haven't received discovery on it since it hasn't been indicted, a single photograph that was found on a computer that the prosecution, well, not even the prosecution at this point, I guess it's still the police because it's not indicted or accused, claimed was my client's and that he was in possession of either the computer or the photograph that's on there. My client has never been accused of anything involving nudity or anything else with children. He has been convicted of things like armed robbery in his past, and that occurred in Cobb County.
Well, that's not nothing to brag about if this lawyer is making a case for his client. I'm telling you, this doesn't make a good case at all. Well, he wasn't involved in nudity, but you know what? He was involved in robbery, armed robbery a couple of times. He may as well just throw him under the bus.
His past, and that occurred in Cobb County. I believe he was sentenced to 5 years back then on that. Bank fraud when he came to pick up a check that they said was cleared, and he was arrested on the scene. That's his federal case. So that's the kind of stuff my client has been convicted of in his past. And so far, nothing else has happened on these cases. The oldest you've quoted the dates on, the youngest you've quoted the dates on, all of those dates are beyond the 90 days, some of them beyond 180 days. So what I'm asking for, Judge, is on every last one of these cases, if and where you can, that you enter in a unsecured judicial release that mirrors his co-defendant on one case that she has with him that was consented to, and on another case where there's 14 counts where she engages or is alleged to have engaged in similar behavior as to what she is accused of in this case. All the rest of them, Judge, I'm asking for a UJR, but in no instance of an amount of a bond greater than $5,000 per count. On one of the bonds, I believe that you signed, Judge, you tell him he can't be with his wife. I'm going to ask that you...
Is that Melody Stretcher?
No, it's the other lady, the SS.
Well, isn't that a pimp? They weren't even clear on, the judge wasn't clear on which wife. He got one wife, so that tells us that he got a mistress.
Oh, Strawberry.
Yeah.
And then the judge blurted out, "Oh yeah, Strawberry. And I'm saying to myself, Judge, you forgot the code. You were supposed to say SS.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, let him be with his wife before we end up having a divorce matter in Fulton County. Judge, also, you tell him he can't reside. I have an affidavit. His wife is a person of some public notoriety. David, Judge, I did not file it in because if she is filed, she likes to kind of remain private where she can, when she can. And so she asked that you take the necessary measures. If you want that filed in the court, we can do that.
So Shirley Strawberry, I guess, was asking for certain things to be kept off the record, maybe, so she can remain anonymous. She should know it would have leaked out. The judge himself said, "Oh, Miss Strawberry," and it leaked out right then and there. So Shirley was asking for her address not to be made known. I don't think that's too much to ask, but her location was leaked. She is in Buckhead.
Her address doesn't become common knowledge for her public, although she loves her public death. She wants some privacy occasionally as well. And so that's what we're asking for, Judge. I believe that's the sum total of it. I'm sorry. There are two other matters that my client has in his history that I've been told of, but I haven't been provided with anything on. I understand that he has a warrant for a misdemeanor case out of Henry County that's still awaiting. And I've been told that there's a matter in California that the California doesn't want to extradite. I can't provide you. I wish I could give you more on that, but I can't. I don't have it.
Well, wasn't he the busy one? Crisscrossing states, just committing crime up and down.
All right, so that's my request. And I thank you for hearing me.
Okay, Ms. Patton?
It's on the record, and for whatever reason, didn't put anything else on the record for the other ones. But Mr. Lewis and I had about, I think, was a 2.5 hour bond motion on that particular one that day. This will be considerably shorter. Yes. But the judge afterwards heard that back then, and if you note the bond order that she did file in, I believe was on 22 SC 184403. She denied bond in that case and left the no bond in 22 SC 184402, noting that he was an extreme likelihood to commit additional felonies. Going back to his history, Judge.
So he was denied bond because of his history of crime. So he was looked at as a flight risk.
Of course, as Mr. Lewis correctly stated, starts in the 80s. He has a laundry list of crimes of moral turpitude that he's committed, multiple armed robberies. There was the one in Cobb, but he also committed another one in Douglas County as well. Got 10 years of custody for that. A short custody time in the first one, 10 years in the next one. Then, of course, false statements, multiple MTAs, probation violations, and the bank fraud, which he actually did get federal time for as well. So it was a little bit more complicated than it was held out to be today. He's an ANC recidivist. To address Mr. Lewis's statements that he made about the California cases, it's true he does actually have 2 warrants for his arrest out of California. Those are, as Mr. Lewis said, non-extradition warrants that he has present in both those cases. We have the reports and the warrants in those cases in our file. Both of those cases have to do with transporting stolen cars back here to Atlanta, actually, is what it says in both of those reports. One of them was out of LA County and one of them was out of Orange County, I believe. And then, of course, there is the case that the other county in Georgia has to hold on him for as well, Judge. When it comes down to these particular cases, I will note for the court that he does, I believe it's on case number 22 CP 212559. That case became kind of like an amalgamation of a few cases when it got entered in the clerk's office. I believe there's 3 charges on there that have no bond currently. We did address that in front of Judge Edwards, as Mr. Lewis could tell you as well. Last time we were there, and I agreed with him, he was entitled to a bond then, still is now. And I had proposed, when Mr. Lewis and I had talked, a bond of $25,000 per on those particular charges. The reason I proposed that particular bond particular bond mirrored what he had in the other case, which was $25,000 good as well. Judge, we consider this person to be a flight risk. We have jail calls where he's talking about going to see his girlfriend in Florida. Multiple times, actually. We have he's talking with his wife about going to stay in her boss's house in Abu Dhabi, which is, of course, quite far away from here.
Steve Harvey is her boss, and Steve Harvey have a house in Abu Dhabi.
Her boss's house in Abu Dhabi, which is, of course, quite far away from here, quite far removed from any court's jurisdiction here. And multiple times, actually, we have a call where he was talking with his wife about going to stay in her boss's house. I'm going to leave out all the names here, as Mr. Lewis did as well. About her boss's house in Abu Dhabi, which is, of course, quite far away from here, quite far removed from any court's jurisdiction here. And just the general scheme that's been going on here, Judge. When we were last in front of Judge Edwards, she put us on the clock, said, you guys got to get this done. You guys got to get this investigation done. We've been working with Roswell off and on, talking to them to see where their investigation is. It's on schedule. It will be done by the 13th. You'll be served with, like I said, 15 plus new warrants, some of which are very serious, that this court just put it out there that this court may not even be able to consider, unfortunately. It would have to be considered by a sitting elected Superior Court judge. And for that reason, I would have to recommend the $25,000 per on the 22 CP 212559. I believe that the other ADA Taylor, has something to say about 23 CP 215407 and the state's recommendation for bond in that particular matter, Judge.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Taylor. Good evening, Your Honor. Yes, as Mr. Majeski has stated, he's considered dangerous. There are several pending warrants that will be coming out that, based on their content alone, there's a great likelihood that he's someone who will commit further felonies. Furthermore, without mentioning the facts of the case in front of us, children were involved. The state is requesting a bond, knowing that he has to have a bond because it's been well over 200 days. A bond of $200,000 per count, giving us a grand total of $800,000 bond for the case involving the exploitation. There are 4 separate counts there. As standard, I would also request that there be an ankle monitor placed on Mr. Williams, as well as that he surrender his passport, not leave Fulton County.
She's only mentioning that, guys, in case he bonds out, then an ankle bracelet, surrender the passport, not leave Fulton County. Shirley Strawberry did write to the judge asking for her husband to be bonded out, but it was not even considered. Because anytime you have a case like this where children are involved, the judge is not going to consider bonding that person out to put other children in danger. So the defense continues to read what they would like. Just in case he gets bonded out, these are some of the things they would like the judge to consider.
Have no internet access at all, and no contact with any minors or animals.
The part with no contact with animals had me scratching my head. Did he do something with an animal that was caught on tape? That is the question.
But again, he's met all the Ayala factors. He's a flight risk, as evidenced by phone calls that we've heard. Okay. All right.
Just one more thing. If the court is inclined to grant a bond on this, which would seem, at least this state does have a number of people we would be requesting no contact with as well.
All right.
I'm sorry. Mr. Majeski, finish up. What about Melody Spretchen?
Okay.
Gail Bickham?
So in case he's bonded out, the state is requesting that he not contact these people, and they're reading the names out.
Alasia Alexander, Leilani Thwaites, that's THW, Miles Williams, Lakeisha Williams, Brianna Jordan, Deborah Johnson,
Sheridan Strawberry and her kids.
Now, Sheridan Strawberry is Shirley's daughter. Shirley's daughter, I believe, lived with her. So if he is barred from seeing Shirley's daughter and the kids or making contact with them, then he cannot go back to the house, Shirley's house, because the daughter lives there. And this is why one of the stipulations in the reading was that he not make contact with Shirley, his own wife, if he bonded out. But he did not bond out.
Olivia Washington, Erica King, or Erica Hughley. That was the person Mr. Lewis was referring to earlier, who is her co-defendant in this particular matter, Judge. And yes, the court did, as he noted, we did enter into a consent bond with her. That was for reasons, of course, that we're not discussing here in court today.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Lewis? Yes, Judge. One other thing, so the other thing that I've got, Judge, is although Mr. Majeski speaks of these things, and so does Ms. Taylor, there was no evidence offered to any of these things that are now being alluded to during that hearing that lasted for 2.5 hours. None of it. There was, and I permitted it, Judge, during the closing argument of the state, I permitted them to talk. I didn't object to any of it. Where promises were made about upcoming charges upcoming to Judge Edwards. And we have made it from January 31st all the way now to June the 26th. And we're told that in the future, something will be coming. I'm asking this court to give the future no credit whatsoever, because we had a whole bunch of future between January 31st and June the 30th. And if we keep on giving the future credit where things don't show up, we'll have a person sitting in jail who hasn't, not the issue of not being convicted, but not even accused and being held. And so I'm going to ask the court, reiterate my request to you before, UJR, find no more than 5,000 counting everything. And I did not hear Ms. Taylor tell us whether that was more than one picture in those 5 counts or not, but I thought it was one picture, or at least I believe that's what Mr. Majeski told me, but it's been so long ago since he talked about that. I can't rightfully remember right now. Thank you. It's 4. It's 4. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Clark.
Mr. Majeski addressed.
So the state prosecutor, Mr. Majeski, said it was 4 pictures. He made it very clear right away that it wasn't one, it was 4 pictures.
There were numerous images, actually, and as a matter of fact, the reason the case is still ongoing, the investigation is ongoing. Several more witnesses have come forward between January and now. They're still coming forward. We're trying to have a thorough investigation before we just indict. We can't just...
I got you. All right. Bob Sal, this one. Head up. Everybody sit up straight. Sit up straight. Trust me, I'm tired too, but I've been working all day. Sit up straight. There you go. All right. Position 2, ending in 0500. No drugs unless prescribed. No alcohol. No weapons. You must surrender your passport to Mr. Lewis. Mr. Lewis put it in his safe that he has with all his money locked up in. Cannot leave Fulton County, cannot leave the state of Georgia. Stay away from 7100 Suttles Drive. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. You're going to have a 24-hour curfew with an ankle monitor paid for by the county.
See, an address was just read. Now, I'm wondering if that was Shirley Strawberry's house, her address, her location, because he's not supposed to come in contact with his wife either. So that was, I'm telling you, they are just putting people out there, just giving out information. But this is the courtroom. The judge can't help it. The judge got to read exactly what the charges are, what the stipulation is. And if he gets released, these are the stipulations. You can't come within certain feet of that address. You can see certain people, you can contact certain people. So being that it was on Zoom, everybody got the address. So I don't know if it was Shirley Strawberry's address, but an address was given out.
You can leave for court, medical, employment, attorney's visits, and job, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, the exact location they'll need to be working, and obviously need to be in Fulton County. No further contact with Melody Scretchen, Scretchen. You got all that right? On that one, that'd be a $5,000 good bond. Position 3, ending in 1078. 5,000 each count. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. No further contact with Erica Hughley, Shirley Strawberry, Erica, let's see, Brandon, oh goodness, okay, let's see, Gail Blinkham, Alana Alexandra, you said? Layla, oh gosh, you have to go, Mila Williams.
Judge and Deputy Clerk, I think it was Hunter. What's the dice? Send her all the names. I'm going to be doing that as soon as you.
Hey, good, you rattled those off. So those names, you cannot leave Georgia, cannot leave Fulton County, must surrender your passport to Mr. Lewis. Like I said, he'll stick it away where he's got all his money. Hey,
Judge, clear it up for me, please. You mentioned Shirley Strawberry. You did not mean to mention Shirley Strawberry. Is that correct?
Sheridan.
Okay, yes.
Sheridan.
So because Shirley Strawberry is such a personality on Steve Harvey's show, and she is considered a celebrity in her own right. They were on the same page to say that it's not Shirley Strawberry, it's Sheridan Strawberry. But the judge slipped, and she already said Shirley Strawberry. So everybody knows that it's Shirley.
So Sheridan Strawberry, Sheridan. I've marked through that. That's why I guess I'm okay. We got the ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical visits, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, the exact location you'll be working, and you can just list all those on that one, Ms. Hunter. Position 4, ending in 2559. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, the exact location you'll be working. No further contact with your co-defendant, Erica Hughley. And here I've got Sheridan Strawberry and Amanda Johnson. No further contact with them. Position 5, 5407. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons.
So guys, the reading went on and on. There are other stipulations that he must adhere to if he bonds out. So right now he's sitting in jail, I guess, waiting to see if he can bond out. Shirley wants her husband home. Well, here's the thing. If her husband goes home, it won't be to the same address where the marital home is. It would be to a different address because he can't come within certain feet of Shirley Strawberry, and he can't come within a certain feet of her daughter and the children. So I wonder where he's going to go. I guess he's going to go to family. So this recorder was from Biodiversity Law. This court hearing was held on Zoom, and it was held in Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia. So guys, you are welcome to weigh in on this particular case. Shirley Strawberry's husband and the pickle that he's in. Looks like if he's a career criminal. And I don't know how Shirley or Steve did not vet him. Or maybe they knew. I don't know. But some women, like I said before, are so desperate for love and desperate for a husband that they will settle for anything. I'm over and out. Drop your comments. Don't forget to like the video. Hit all the buttons, the thumbs up, the like, share, subscribe. And I am over and out. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching.